Hi, Sherri Colvin for the Tiny Tailor Workshop. This is part 2 of our tutorial on making this cute little miniature Chanel suit. And in this part, we'll be looking at making the jacket back and fitting the jacket back onto the doll. Now this tutorial is good for this particular suit, but it's also good for fitting a man's jacket back or a shirt back or even a dress bodice back. So it's a very versatile tutorial. Let's go on over to the work table and get started with it. The Tiny Tailor pattern used here. There is a link in the description below where you can get it in printed or downloadable versions. So let's begin with our 2 back pattern pieces cut out in fabric. Remember to cut the notches around the armhole and the neckline. Work in mirror images so that you'll end up with the left and right side. Let's take our glue bottle and put a thin bead of glue around the armholes like this. Now with our needle tool, just spread that glue along the notches of the armhole. Once you've done that, we're going to turn those notches to the wrong side of the fabric with our finger. Just very gently press them to the back side of the fabric like this, and that will create a very smooth armhole opening. So I'm just pressing and pressing with my fingernails. And then, once I have them both done, I'll go back over that with my needle tool just to flatten the seam a little bit more. Once we have the armholes done, we'll move on to the neckline. And you can see I've cut the notches in my neckline just like the armhole. And just like the armhole, I'm going to bring in my glue bottle and put a thin bead of glue on those notches of the neckline. So I'll do both sides. And then bring in my needle tool, smooth the glue along the notches. And then with my finger again, I'm going to turn around to the wrong side of the fabric, and I'd say this is about a 1/16 of an inch turn. And I'll do that to both sides of the neckline, the left and the right jacket back sides. So I've smoothed those down with my needle tool, and now I'm going to take the doll and turn her around. And take one of the sides, it doesn't matter whether it's the left or the right side, just one of the sides, and place it onto the doll, fitting it where you would like it to hit. So this looks pretty good to me. You see the sleeve is aligned at the shoulder, the neckline looks like it fits pretty good, and I have a little bit of overlap in the back. So I'll take my glue bottle, and along the seam, or excuse me, along the turn notches, I'm going to put a bead of glue. And I will press that down into the sleeve. Usually I'll wait a little bit for this to dry, but for the sake of the video, I'm just going to roll on. So I'll put some glue underneath the shoulder seam here and tack that down. Now I'll lift up the jacket back and put a bead of glue on the bottom half of that armhole. And press that down into the underside of the sleeve. And you may have to hold it there for a minute, but it will tack up and the glue will hold. I'm just going to snip off a little bit of extra shoulder seam here so that the collar lays a little bit flatter. There's always some adjustment. And this is one of the more common ones. Okay, that's looking pretty good. I'm just going to tack this half of the back down so that I can work more easily with the second half. All right, so here we go. We're going to take our second half of our jacket back and we're going to fit it onto the doll much like we did the first half. You want to align the neckline and make sure that your shoulder is fitting very similarly to the other side. What we'll do here is simultaneously glue the shoulder and the top part of the armhole at once. So just glue and press down just like the other side. Now I'll go around to the underside of the armhole, and just like the other side, I will tack that down with the bead of glue onto the bottom of the sleeve, or excuse me, the underside of the sleeve. It's helpful to take a look at the side of the jacket back and make sure that it's fairly straight underneath the arm going down to the hip. All right, so now it's time to fit that back seam, and you do that by looking at the center of the back and just turning the fabric along the center of the back like this. And I press it so that I get a nice crisp crease that will help me know where to glue that seam. So you see, that's really easy. You don't fuss, you just put it on the doll and you make the seam fold right there. You're essentially custom fitting the back of the jacket to the doll. Now take your glue and make a thin bead along that fold and spread the glue out. Now press down and you've got a nice smooth edge. Just taking another look at it, and I'm aligning the checks or the stripes on my jacket. You know what? I'm going to fuss a little bit here. I'm going to put the neckline under my collar, so bear with me. Here we go. Okay, once that's done, bead of glue. Hopefully you can see this, but I'm putting that on that doubled over smooth edge. That happens to me all the time. No worries, it'll clean off. Okay, back to the gluing. I'll press that down and then I'll simply move on down the jacket seam. You can see it a little better here. I'm putting the bead of glue onto that doubled over piece of fabric that was made when we folded over the crease. And press it down. And there you have it, how to fit the jacket back. We'll tackle the hem in the next video once we have the front of the jacket put on the doll. If you like this video and you found it informative, then give us a like and subscribe to our channel. It really helps us to continue to make these videos for you. I'll see you in the next Tiny Tailor Workshop. Bye-bye.